is a result of the gradual reopening of our economy, especially the service sector, coupled with stronger global demand. This recovery is reflected, as I said earlier, in the strong revenue performance for the quarter ending September 2021, which saw our ordinary revenue increase by 25.8% and amounted to Kenya shillings 441.8 billion, amounting to a collection of Kenya shillings 17 billion above the target that had been set. The first and second stimulus packages were designed by my government to ensure that our economy would endure the shocks occasioned by the lockdown measures implemented in the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. With significant progress registered in the containment of COVID-19, I believe it is now time to shift our focus from survival to coexisting with the disease. And in that regard, my administration will be rolling out the third financial stimulus program designed to accelerate the pace of our economic growth and to sustain the gains that we have already made. I announce, therefore, that effective the 1st of November 2021, new stimulus programs targeting the key productive and service sectors in 13 strategic interventions that cover agriculture, health, education, drought response, policy, infrastructure, financial inclusion, energy, and environmental conservation. The first intervention is the tea subsector. To safeguard the gains made by the tea subsector, the National Treasury will allocate 1 billion shillings to support the fertilizer subsidy for our small-scale tea farmers. The second intervention is in the sugar subsector. To safeguard the livelihoods of farmers within our nation's sugar belt, I direct the National Treasury to allocate an additional 1.5 billion shillings in aid of the sugar sector that will be appropriated towards factory maintenance and payment of farmer arrears. The third intervention is the coffee subsector. In acknowledgement of the pace of the ongoing reforms in the subsector, the National Treasury to allocate 1 billion shillings to the Ministry of Agriculture to be appropriated towards the completion of the ongoing interventions in the coffee subsector. The fourth intervention is the livestock sector. Noting the effects of the ongoing drought situation, the National Treasury to allocate 1.5 billion to support the communities affected by the ongoing drought, especially in our ASAL counties, as part of our national livestock offtake program. The fifth, also applying to the livestock sector, and in order to secure a reduction in the prices of animal feeds, I direct the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, jointly with the National Treasury, to issue within 7 days a framework that will facilitate the reduction of the cost of animal and chicken feeds. The sixth intervention is in education. As I have said earlier, and noting the success of our administration's policy on 100% transition from primary to secondary education, Kenya shillings 8 billion to the Ministry of Education for the CBC Infrastructure Expansion Program. The seventh intervention is in health, and to ensure access to medical coverage across our nation, and as part of our Universal Health Coverage Program, the Ministry of Health will move with speed to establish an additional 50 new Level 3 hospitals to be situated in non-covered areas and densely populated areas across our nation. And I further direct the National Treasury to allocate a sum of 3.2 billion shillings for the immediate construction of these medical facilities, again using local contractors so that the effect is also felt on the ground uko mashinani. The eighth intervention is the National Sanitation Program. We started this program to harness the energy of our young people and to give them a buffer against COVID-related unemployment. Noting the success of Kazi Mtaani program and its effect in enhancing opportunities for youth across the country, we direct the National Treasury to allocate Kenya shillings 10 billion for the third phase of Kazi Mtaani to be rolled out in all counties, with priority being given to densely populated areas. The above measures should inject an additional 25 billion shillings into our economy. These new initiatives complement ongoing state interventions that are expected to sustain the momentum of recovery within the year's growth rate projected to be at 6%. The ninth intervention is on energy and petroleum. Being fully aware of the positive strides being made in our economic recovery, the gains stand the risk of being eroded by high energy prices. And to address the plight of our people, I do direct that the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining, jointly with the National Treasury, to develop by the 24th of December a framework for stabilization of petroleum prices so as to cushion Kenyans against the turbulence caused by the current volatility in fuel prices, and that B, the Ministry of Energy shall secure the full implementation of the report of the Presidential Task Force on review of power purchase agreements that establishes a pathway for the reduction of electricity prices by 30% by or before the 24th of December this year. I look forward to Kenyans being relieved of the burden of high tariffs by Christmas Day. The 10th intervention is in the banking sector. The transformation of our economy and the emergence of our nation as a financial hub is as a result of the efficiency secured by technology. The gains we have made in digitization of our financial processes and transactions have made it possible for us to better track and trace illicit flows of money. In view of these, we remain committed to the anti-money laundering and the combating of financing of terrorism CFT frameworks stipulated by the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act, POCALMA. These include the requirement for financial institutions to report cash transactions above US dollars 10,000. However, it should also be recognized that the implementation of the framework by banks has been onerous for micro, small, and medium enterprises, and cash still remains an important payment channel for MSMEs, representing 80% of all their financial transactions. Therefore, accordingly, the implementation of the cash transaction requirement by banks has not been facilitative of the operations of MSMEs, and to some extent has inhibited their growth. And in this regard, I further order the National Treasury, after consultation with other stakeholders, to immediately cause the upward revision of the cash transaction reporting threshold from the current mark of 1 million shillings, applicable to both withdrawals and deposits by customers. The financial institution